So far in 2021, over 4 million Americans have quit their jobs as employers rolled out their back-to-office policies, a phenomenon coined by economists as the Great Resignation. And with the mass exodus of employees and a global labor shortage, the power tides are finally turning in favor of job seekers. Needless to say, our world has changed and things will never be the same again. So then what's next? What does the future of work look like? And what does that mean for you? Hey everyone, it's Caitlin here. If you're new to this channel, I document my personal finance journey to provide inspiration for young professionals who are looking for more meaning in work and life. So if this is something you want to tune into, consider subscribing so that together we can be financially free faster, do more meaningful work, and lead more fulfilling lives. In my previous video, I highlighted some of the factors that may have led to the Great Resignation. The link is in the description below, so make sure you check that out if you haven't already. The pandemic served a reminder for us that life is short, and employees are finally waking up to the true value of their talent and skill sets, and they're not going to settle for less any longer. This is ultimately a paradigm shift as to how people will plan their careers going forward, which I think will play out in the following ways. Number one is a shift towards the gig economy. From burnout to toxic work cultures, it's no surprise that 85% of the workforce has already been disengaged from their jobs prior to the pandemic. The Great Resignation was inevitable, but the pandemic just accelerated it, which is why a significant chunk of the workforce might actually migrate into the gig economy format. According to the UK government, the gig economy is defined as the exchange of labor for money between individuals or companies via digital platforms that actively facilitate matching between providers and customers on a short-term and payment-by-task basis. A lot of former full-time employees may actually shift their day-to-day into more contract, freelance, or project-based work. This would mean they're employed for a set period of time, and they can take mini sabbaticals between projects in order to regroup and recharge. The freelance job market Upwork has seen a 90% increase in its core clients between 2016 and 2020. Sites like Fiverr and freelance.com have also experienced a significant growth in users and revenue over the past 2 years. Number two, cash incentives are losing its power. Many participants of the Great Resignation, myself included, say that they're willing to take a pay cut or take entry-level jobs that offer more meaningful work, a better work-life balance, and ultimately work for a company whose values align with their own. Traditionally, the mentality was go for the job that pays the most. But as we're quickly learning from the Great Resignation, if we're choosing jobs based on pay alone, that's a really quick and simple way to end up miserable. Money, of course, is important, but a study done by Wharton highlights that money works as an incentive, but only up to $75,000 a year. Beyond that, job seekers will be looking for cultural fit, meaningful work, and upward mobility. Number three is entrepreneurship. As more and more people realize that they're probably not going to find their dream job browsing all the pages of Indeed.com, they decide to create their own. According to the US Census Bureau, there was a huge spike in new business applications in the US between 2020 and 2021 alone. This is really indicative of general employee sentiment in that people would prefer to go through much more of a grind, make less money to start a business rather than answering to a boss. But ultimately, I think the migration towards more and more people pursuing entrepreneurship is actually a really positive trend for the workforce. This is because the entrepreneurs who succeed in general are the ones that can provide the most value. The rise in entrepreneurship also indicates a general desire to solve problems over the desire for prestige. Sure, prestige does come with entrepreneurship, but only after the entrepreneur has solved problems first. And number four, remote work. This one may seem pretty obvious, as the mere fact that companies are introducing back-to-office policies is the trigger for the Great Resignation. People love the flexibility of not being confined to a city or not being confined to their office cubicles in general. They like saving the time and money on commutes and generally find that they can be much more productive with less distractions. And many large companies have already introduced permanent work from home. A lot of them, of course, are big tech. But as the saying goes, when big tech does something, everyone else follows suit. But remote work also tends to add more hours to the workday, and some people prefer the face-to-face interactions with coworkers. So going forward, I think perhaps a hybrid model would be the best way to go, but who knows what's going to happen when it comes to that. All we know is that remote work will now be the norm rather than the exception. So now you may be asking, how am I affected in all of this? Well, I think that where the future of work is headed should definitely be a big part of your career planning. And here are my suggestions. Number one, build multiple streams of income. The only constant thing we can truly be certain of is change, meaning that relying on your day job as your only source of income is becoming increasingly risky. This means building multiple income streams, including through your investments, through acquiring real estate, or building businesses online. And of course, much easier said than done, but absolutely necessary. If we can set up ourselves right financially and not have to be stressed about money all the time, it can and will give us a lot more flexibility and choice as to where we work, the type of work we want to do, and also gives the flexibility to work for ourselves if we want to. Number two, don't discount your strengths and your interests. It's important to keep in mind that your career doesn't have to be so cookie cutter and linear. It's so common for young professionals these days to try out different things and switch between multiple jobs early in their careers. Not only is it common now, I actually think this practice is necessary and it's important that young people do it. Even if you want to use me as an example, I've held 8 roles in 5 different companies over the past 6 years. I've held jobs ranging from accounting, finance, marketing, sales, business development, teaching, and now starting a YouTube channel. Some people might call it commitment issues, but I would just like to say that I literally just graduated from college. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I thought that overall it was just a really good experience to get to try different things so that now I have a lot more clarity as to where I want to take my career. And I believe that if you're watching this as millennial or Gen Z, make sure you do that too. When I first graduated, I was primed to be a Wall Street financial analyst. But as I started working, I realized that I really don't want that career path, and I naturally gravitated towards marketing and sales. And now, 5 years after I graduated, am I only starting to get a better understanding and clarity as to where I want to take my career. So don't be afraid to try a lot of different roles when you're really young, because you'll learn a lot. And lastly, don't focus on making money. Focus on creating value. I can't emphasize this enough. In the modern workforce, not just today, but in the future of work, focusing just on money will not give you a competitive edge in any career. Rather, you have to focus on how you can create the best value. Whether you're working for an employer or if you're a business owner, if you focus on value creation, you'll be happier and you'll make more money than if you were to just chase money in the first place. And having said that, I hope that you were able to find value in this video. If you have, please make sure to gently tap that like button and subscribe for more videos that will help you live your best life. I'm Caitlin. Thank you for watching and see you next time.